I calculate that you're from my
My name's
state.
Joey McKenzie, and thanks for asking me to say a few words here, Leah. And I thought I might talk a little bit about what's helped me the most in my life as a musician. I've been a professional musician since I was a young teenager, and that's all I've ever done my whole life. And I grew up in McMinnville, Oregon, and not exactly a hotbed for Western music or Western swing, which are the things that I love so much. But you know what really helped me was where I was sourcing the material and my inspiration from. And since it wasn't a hotbed for a lot of that kind of music, I was sourcing records. So my examples of Western music came from the Sons of the Pioneers, Andy Parker and the Plainsmen, and Marty Robbins. And I think that that has served me really well. Although there were people in my neighborhood who sang a few cowboy songs and sang a little Western swing, they had not really worked at it enough to develop the skills necessary to pull off those songs. So I realized early on that if I wanted to play this music and make it sound hopefully in the same ballpark as my heroes, that I was going to have to do some homework. So I started that homework early on in Oregon, and then of course I moved to Texas 30 years ago. And the reason that I moved here, of course I have a lot of friends here, but the main reason was because I knew that if I wanted to get better at my craft, this is where the best musicians mostly were concentrated. So I moved to the Fort Worth area and started really studying the great Western swing musicians and the great cowboy musicians, and trying to improve my skills so that I would be able to pull it off without cutting corners. And the cutting corners thing is what I'm seeing a lot of in the last several years, especially, well, with all ages, and young people are looking to some of the adults who maybe cut some corners, maybe didn't dig as deep into the repertoire to learn the right chords and the chord voicings and the keeping great time and being a good rhythm guitar player or lead guitar player or fiddle player. And so that's something that I realized from talking to the older guys, that they were constantly trying to be better at their craft, be a better fiddle player, a better singer. And, you know, like I said, you might have friends who play this music, but they're probably not sounding like Marty Robbins. So you buy some Marty Robbins records, and you buy some Sons of the Pioneers records, and you work on that, and then I think that success really breeds great music, and encouraging the friends and people that you play with to up their game is skill-wise. And to me, it's been really fun to try to play these songs and sing these songs at a high level. And I think that hopefully that encourages other people in the process. And so that's the thing that I would probably, the biggest piece of advice that I could give to any young person is study history. Learn where this music came from. Look at the great players, the great singers who play the music that you love, and then incorporate it and make your own style out of it. But you know, when you look at Marty Robbins, he wasn't getting inspiration as much from his friends that might have sang as he was listening to Frank Sinatra and listening to Tony Bennett and listening to great singers, and then making that happen in Western music. The Sons of the Pioneers were listening to the jazz bands out of New York City, Chicago. Hugh and Carl Farr were listening to Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. and then they incorporated that into their own style of music. And then you look at those guys, Stefan Grappelli and Django Reinhardt were listening to Joe Venuti and Eddie Lang before that. So every musician that I've ever known in my life that was worth their salt has a strong understanding of history and then how to incorporate that into the music that they're playing. So have fun, roll up your sleeves, and I think this is an incredible journey.